Hello and welcome, Ecuador Insider Podcast, Season 2, Episode 12. Thanks for joining us. We're in the office. There may be a little reverberation echo going on here, but it's too late and dark to record outside, so here we are. Ryan is on vacation. If you talk to him, you're welcome to give him crap. You're also welcome to ask him how awesome Panama was. I'm certainly curious to find out. He's hitting the beach and doing some cool stuff in Panama, taking a well-deserved break, so definitely hope he's enjoying himself. And so we thought we'd take the time, do a pod. We certainly would like to keep on schedule with the pods. I know a lot of people miss them when they don't come out, so here we are trying to keep up with it. And we thought we'd do sort of a deep dive on Vilcabamba. Like, what are the weirdos that we all are, living here in South America? What do we do on a daily basis? What does life really look like here? Sort of the granular, maybe more nitty-gritty stuff that often we can't get into or don't have time. Hopefully we can give a little color to that today. So it's very unscripted, very off the cuff. We haven't prepared. We have no notes, no questions. We're just going to try to have a good conversation on Vilcabamba. So I'm going to start, and I just kind of want to give a little bit of overview, and then Carl's going to jump in and talk a little bit about, again, some of those specifics, some of like what's your day like here? What are people's life like, in Vilcabamba, Ecuador? And I guess with Vilcabamba, really we can include sort of the region, right? So that's, Loja and Kinara and Yangana and Malacatos. These are all sort of close enough to have a somewhat similar lifestyle, even though I guess Vilcabamba really is its own thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just, and again, we're just gonna shoot you guys extremely straight here, like we always try to do. So Carl got here before me, so he can talk even further back. In fact, that would be interesting to hear about. Carl was here sort of during the boom, which I missed. So I got here in July of 2013, and this was kind of the end of a big boom, right? So we had Rafael Correa took power in 2007, is that right? 2007, I think. And Rafael Correa then started massive infrastructure projects. We had a huge expenditure in infrastructure between 2007 and 2013 when I got here. Partly as a result of that, we had a big boom. So Ecuador was sort of modernizing, and the economy did really well for a number of those years. In Vilcabamba specifically, there was a really large boom, both in the economy and in real estate and everything else. Partly that was driven by some hysteria around the Mayan calendar, interestingly enough. So I got here at the tail end of that. I got here sort of the last maybe 6 months of that. And then we launched this company into disaster, into sort of the collapse. And so we had some bad years there. Starting in 14 was kind of like, things got really bad in 15 and 16. We had a new president starting in 16. Things stabilized after that, but we still had to work through sort of a lot of inventory and a lot of kind of some of the repercussions of some of those down years. And then things really have changed in the last, I would say, like 2 years. Certainly they started to get better long before that. Again, going back to about 16, they started to really improve economic conditions. But really in the last 2 years, and we're making this video in October of 2021, really in the last 2 years we've seen really a large uptick in activity, in economic activity, in people coming. I was just commenting on a group chat thread that we have. How many new faces there are in Vilcabamba, it's just unbelievable. So from my perspective, I've really noticed sort of when the whole pandemic hit, it's almost like a signal went out and people who were maybe on the fence or thinking about making a change but hadn't done it yet, it was like they all pulled the trigger. And so we've seen just a massive influx. And I talk about this on my vlogs a lot, which I'm very behind on putting out. They will be coming out. But this community, which was always great, from my perspective, has just gotten better and better over the last couple of years. The people here are so cool. The things they're into, the amount of unity in the community, the organization even, right? Like when things happen that the community doesn't like, we keep having these examples that pop up where people get organized and push back and are successful in sort of either stopping something or implementing something, or whatever the issue is. So it's really, in my opinion, it's really gotten a lot more vibrant. There's a much more diverse cross section of peoples, countries, ages, etc. That's been really cool. And we've also seen that coincide with the return of the boom. So we're back in the upcycle for sure, like clearly now. And if you go back a year, you can hear me, or 2 years, you can hear me talking about, hey, I think this is coming in a year, and we're in it now, right? So, we're really seeing quite a pickup in demand for real estate. We're seeing lots of projects, lots of development. I'm of the opinion that this valley is going to really expand quite a bit, population-wise. It already has, but I think we're well into that trend. I think that trend is going to continue. That we've seen this in Malacatos as well in a big way. And I think this is going to sort of expand out to some of the other valleys that are in the area that are not yet developed. Yangana, Quinara come to mind, maybe out west from Malacatos as well. So that's kind of my overview of sort of where we're at. So yeah, let's get into it a little bit. So Carl, like, how would you describe the community, or how would you describe sort of, and obviously, we can't, it's a very diverse community, right? So we can't really paint broad brushstrokes necessarily, but I don't know, what do people do with themselves here? Like, what's life like here?
All right, well, the first question, how I would describe the community, it's definitely a very diverse community. There are people from all over the world, but I would say the majority of the expat population here are Americans. Number 2 would be Canadians, probably, and then Europeans of various various places in Europe. But yeah, there's people from all over the world. There's Asians, there's Africans, there's, really there's people from...
quite a few Latinos as well, from Chile and Argentina and various places.
Peruvian, Colombians, Brazilians. I mean, it's a really nice mix of cultures. But definitely, in general, the people that come here are people that are more of the alternative mindset, not people that would be, watching mainstream media, CNN, people that are looking for healthier lifestyle. People that come here for a healthy lifestyle is actually probably also a big common denominator. People that want to eat organic food, that want to breathe fresh air, that want to have clean water, that want to be able to potentially grow their own food as well, all year growing season. People that are into alternative medicine, alternative therapies, alternative ways of living, natural buildings, a lot more nature-based sort of mindset, getting back to nature, getting out of the populated areas into the countryside. I would describe, I think, well, the kind of people that come here. Of course, not everybody falls under that category, but I would say definitely the majority from my experience here, right? People that, don't necessarily want to use mainstream ways of medicine, right? Pharmaceutical drugs, et cetera, et cetera. We know what's happening in the world, Vilcabamba has sort of become, I meet people daily, new people are coming here daily, and it kind of has become a place where people are going away from some of the things that are happening, some of the restrictions that are happening in the Western world that don't necessarily want to partake in some of those things. And this place has become sort of a refugee zone in a way. And it's not just, people running away from something. There's also all the benefits of living here also. The lifestyle, the weather, the climate, the community, the cost of living, all of these things are attracting people to come here. So, there's quite a few places in the world where people are doing research to find the best place to retire, find the best place to move at this time in this day and age. And Vilcabamba has become sort of, a bit of a safe zone, for people, and we're trying to keep it like that, So that's the first question. Then the lifestyle here. I mean, I've been here for 10 years. I arrived here in August of 2011. So I would say things have changed, but they're also very similar. I mean, of course, Vilcabamba has grown and expanded. But yeah, my lifestyle has changed for sure, because I came here single. I didn't have children. I didn't have my wife. So, I did very different things. Right now, I'm a father.
Kids and a wife will change things a little bit.
Of course. But yeah, it's a small town, right? There's about 7, maybe we're up to 8,000 people or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's definitely growing. Like Jesse says, I don't know the exact numbers, but we estimate about 1,500 to maybe 2,000 expats in a small town of maybe 8,000 people. I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but it's very apparent for anyone that comes to Vilcabamba how many foreigners, how many people that are not from here necessarily. There's still more Ecuadorians, but maybe they're more busy at work, whereas people that come here don't necessarily have a full-time job. So it's very apparent when you come to Vilcabamba. But yeah, the lifestyle. I mean, like I said, it's a healthy lifestyle. I used to love bicycling. That was kind of my thing for a while. I would bike everywhere. I would wake up in the morning, go for a bike ride up to Yamburara, Capamaco, jump in the cold river. That was what I did every morning. Lifestyle. The organic market is like kind of the place to go on the weekend if you want to get your organic produce, if you want to meet people, meet the community. That's something as well that can be done. And then there's plenty of other things, sports, basketball. We used to play frisbee in the park.
We gotta get that going again. That was really fun.
Yeah, a lot of nature, hiking, biking, running on the trails, swimming in the rivers, hiking up to waterfalls. Horseback riding is kind of a thing here. Some people are really into it as well. What else? What else would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sticks out to me when you were talking is, and it's I think it's one of the things that draws people to Vilcabamba, maybe unconsciously, but then it's sort of a pleasant surprise once you see it in action. And for me, that's, again, I touched on this in the intro, but that's sort of the unity and the way that things have sort of developed here is that there seems to be this power base in Vilcabamba that's kind of come to the forefront that's super legit. It's like literally the will of the people is actually being done. I've never seen that before. So we had some, like everywhere in the world, we had some restrictions and some lockdown stuff going on a while back. The reaction to that was excellent. Then we had, sort of some further restrictions proposed more recently. Totally dead on arrival. Just, the pushback was so unified and intense. It took maybe a week or something, and it was completely scrapped and dropped. More recently, there's been a little rash of robberies, which happened also maybe 10 years, or let's see, I haven't been here that long, so 7 years ago or something, there was something like that happened, or 8 or 9 years ago, whatever it was, and people got very organized and put an end to that, and that's happening now again. We've got local interests meeting with government, meeting with the community, meeting with citizens, boards, and I don't even know the right terminology, and real things are getting accomplished. And I'm not even someone who really I don't usually rock with that stuff. I'm usually very individual and kind of doing my own thing. But watching these people who I've grown to know over the years, I've come to know over the years, I respect a lot of these people immensely, whether I get along with them or not, right? I respect who they are and what they're doing. And folks have just really organized, gotten very together, gotten very unified, from what I consider to be a very good space. They're coming at it the right way. They're going about it the right way. And I've watched this power base grow to the point where I don't really have concerns anymore. Whatever the outside forces sort of come in and try to implement, the community's either going to accept it or they're not. But whatever they accept or don't accept is going to be the way it goes. That is cool. I really appreciate that about this area in particular. There's a lot of good energy here. There's a lot of people, as you said, right? A lot of people who come here are absolutely interested in getting away from some of the weirdness that's going on in the world right now, some of the restrictive measures and things like that. So people are very oriented towards maintaining their freedom and their sovereignty and things like that. And that's something I really appreciate about the community. Beyond that, I'm also just so impressed by the diversity of beliefs, and yet everyone's sort of being on the same page also. It's it's like the New Age community is alive and well here. as is the Christian community, right? So and those two sides are not at odds necessarily at all. Like there's a lot of common threads between sort of all the belief systems and the groups. That's something, for me, again, I've come to really appreciate about this area. I have dear friends that you couldn't describe any other way but New Age or hippie or these sorts of words, right? People I absolutely love. And then I have dear friends who are devout Christians and these are also people I love and everything in between. And there isn't any sort of like banging of the heads or, my God's better than your God or there's none of that stuff's going on. And that's something I really appreciate as well. And then of course the lifestyle stuff that you mentioned, to add to that, a little bit. Basically, look, if you're gonna move to Latin America, you're gonna relax and slow down probably. So that's certainly true here. People are relaxed. It's not a problem to cancel things. It's not a problem to be a little bit late. People here don't worry about that. Even foreigners, for the most part, are not caught up in that sort of paradigm. And that's nice. It definitely creates, a relaxed lifestyle. There's, I think we might have mentioned this in a previous show, but it's very common here to get a phone call or a text or something from a friend, at 3 o'clock saying, "Hey, you guys want to come over tonight?" Type of thing. And sure, it's very much kind of just things just roll that way. And I keep coming back to this theme of, I made a massive life decision in 2013 to leave New York City in a very successful business and move myself and my daughter to, a place I had never been before, the Southern Andes of Ecuador, specifically this area. And, that was a big choice. Like I had sold my buildings and, uprooted my life. My family thought I was nuts. It was a big decision. And it had its ups and downs and plenty of trials and tribulations and adjustment periods and all that. And as I sit here now, in 2021, I'm so happy with that decision. I'm so glad I live here, and not somewhere else.
Right. Me too, actually. Me too. No, I feel really blessed to be here. I think most people feel blessed to be here. Those of us who've chosen to come here, it kind of feels like a bit of a bubble. Like, if we weren't paying attention to the media, we wouldn't know what else is happening in the world. Like, we wouldn't even, you can't really tell here that some of these things are taking place to a certain extent. I'd like to touch a little bit more on what you said about this, the political things and how, like, the citizens, the community has kind of come together for some of these things. I haven't done the research myself, but like this is the way I understand this simply is that the Ecuadorian constitution is really unique in a lot of ways. It really protects the citizens. It protects a lot of freedoms. It's actually quite, I don't know about other countries' constitution, but it's maybe even another level from the U.S. Constitution, which is also a lot about freedom and rights, etc. And something that's in the Constitution, from what I understand, is the rights for the people to assemble and sort of create their own decentralized, autonomous government. So there apparently, my understanding is there's 5 branches of government here, and one of them is the
I think it's like a citizens council or something like that, or citizens something.
Citizens assembly or citizens council. Yeah. So some people here have been putting something together, and it's happening right now. And not to go too into details about it, but it sort of seems like Vilcabamba itself, with its assembly, could start actually creating their own laws and creating their own autonomous branch of government, and that's a right for Ecuadorian people to have, and we could be a part of it. So it's a mix of local people and expats that have kind of come together and created this. And to give an example of sort of what you were saying just now about someone sends you a text and we'll have something in the afternoon and people actually show up. That's actually what happened yesterday with this assembly thing. They called out some kind of emergency meeting and in the morning and there were 70 people that showed up at this meeting, members of the community, locals and expats. And it was a meeting with the local authorities or the local public servants, and we're really going to try to work together with the local government, basically to make this place safer, to make this place a better place for everyone, for expats and local people. And I think everyone here is on board with that. We want this to be safe. We want this place to be, and to unite the cultures and the communities as well. Because there is a little bit of, there's like two communities, right? The expat community and the local community, but we all live together, we all blend together. I mean, the language barrier is actually what probably separates
Sure.
mostly, right? But
Sure.
but I know I feel a lot of hope. I think it's something really unique is happening, and it has been said that this could become an example for not only the rest of Ecuador, the rest of Latin America, but even for the rest of the world. You know, but it's just in the beginning phase. But I just feel very excited about it. It sounded awesome. There's going to be another meeting tomorrow. We'll go and show support, etc., etc. But that's very cool. That's very cool. I think this place, I really feel like this place is a unique place. It's a special place. It attracts a special kind of people. And yeah, there's a lot of hope for the future. And like you said, it's expanding. Lots more people want to come here. These other towns, these other areas that are close by also are getting more and more populated. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And as you said, of course, there's always conflict. There's always little things. But I think more or less we've been getting along really well with the locals and also with each other. You know.
No, I ran into a guy today. Well, I was having lunch today, and somebody, which happens probably to you a lot now too. Somebody, you know, this is a very small town, and we're always putting out this crap on YouTube, and so people recognize us who come here because we're kind of the face of Vilcabamba. If you're not in Vilcabamba, right, to some degree, so we get flagged down a lot, and so you know, I'm sitting having lunch today, and a guy flags me down to introduce himself, and he says, "Hey," and this happens frequently. He says, "Hey, you know, I'm here because of you. Thank you." You know, and we sat and talked for 10 or 15 minutes, and you know, he says, "Look, I was in Ambato and the I always get Cocha and Cotacachi area." And you know, he liked it there, which I like it too. It's a nice area, but the elevation was really bothering him, and so he had seen our videos and shows up in Vilcabamba, and so I say, "How long have you been here?" "A couple of weeks." And I said, "Okay, so you're kind of getting acclimated and you know, sort of getting your feet wet." And he goes, "I'm acclimated. I love it." You know, and so I start talking to him about it. I'm just kind of curious, you know, what he likes about it and these sorts of things. And so this happens a lot, but really the reason I bring it up is just because that sort of energy that's building that I've touched on and now you've touched on, and it's like that energy that seems to be building here, it's very strong. And again, it gives me that confidence that decisions are being made here at the truly grassroots level. Oh, and I remember too, the other reason I brought that story up is because, you know, he told me, he said, you know, one of the reasons I was reticent to visit or to move to Vilcabamba was because I had read all this stuff online that made it sound like there was all this friction between the foreigners and the locals, like it was dangerous and all these things. And he said, you know, I don't see any of that. I said, I don't see any of that either. You know, again, I've been here 8 years, 8.5 years or whatever. This friction that people talk about, I've never seen it. Like, I've literally never seen it. The cultural friction. You know, robberies and things like that have happened. So there's certainly been some of that. Again, very safe place to live, very safe area. But there's certainly been some one-off or, you know, little things that have happened like that over the years, which is happening again right now, and I'm sure an end will be put to it very quickly, I would imagine, based on the level of organization to stop it that's happening right now, which again gives me a lot of confidence, right, for the future of the area. But yeah, it's really fun to watch that energy build. We sort of, as a real estate company and as a development company, you know, we sort of get previews on what's coming, and what's coming is so cool. The amount of energy, resources, capital, expertise that's descended on this valley that has really cool ideas way beyond the idea phase, in the implementation phase. You know, they're getting set up, their capital's there, they're coming down, we're gonna do project X, you know, we want your guys' help. We've been working with so many people like that. What's gonna happen here over the next, you know, 6 to 24 months, it's already happening, big time. But as we move forward here over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the coolest spots in the world to live.
Well, no, I completely agree. Things that are going to happen in the future are super exciting, as Jesse says, but also, I think I might have mentioned this before, but there's quite a few people I've met here that have literally traveled the world looking for that perfect place, done all the research, you know, looked at the safest place in terms of climate, in terms of natural disasters as well, in terms of the politics, the safety, and all that stuff. And they've chosen Vilcabamba, so it always makes me feel good about having chosen this place as well. I didn't travel the whole world. There's quite a few people that have done that sort of legwork, and yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for the future, things to come as well. And yeah, it's really good. So this is a very special place. We love it here. It's a great place to raise kids. If you have kids, if you're planning on having kids, we were raised in the Western world, but I think this is an awesome place for children. And now with all the young families, there's so many children now, being raised here. My kids have too many friends, It's like there's so many cool things happening for the children as well, and the nature, and being able to just go and safely hike and go swim in the river, clean water. I mean, things that I don't have back home, in Canada, even though there's nice things there too. But yeah, so that's.
Right.
So
there's also quarantine camps in Canada, right? No, 100%. I mean, I just think of a few things that come to mind while you're talking. It's like Carl organizes a Saturday bike ride for the kids. I'm sad to say I have never been on it, but I've seen the videos, and my daughter's been many times, and it just looks like a blast. It looks like an absolute blast. And my daughter just organized a kids activity day that's coming up. I don't know when. And she's got 15 families already signed up or something, and they'll all, we'll know all of them, right? They'll all be friends and type of thing. But there's just so much of that goes on: birthday parties and get-togethers. And the other cool thing is that it's not snobbish. Like when people get here, they are welcomed with open arms. I mean, I can't tell you how many clients. I didn't even realize necessarily were clients, but people have just contacted me, maybe via Facebook or however they got in touch with me, and we're just kind of chatting. It's like, hey, I know you're in Ecuador. Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions or whatever, right? And then I run into them maybe with Ryan or with you or something, and it's like they're already all integrated. They have like all the same friends I do, and I'm like, and they introduce like, hey, we were chatting on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, I remember. Like, how long have you been here? A week. It's like, and they're already at all the birthday parties and at all this stuff, and it's it's just it's a community that is very much interested in seeing good outcomes for people, and it functions that way. Of course, not across the board in every moment, in every situation, but I feel like sort of some of the people who I would describe as having a little bit more negative energy than others have left, it seems to me, in the last several years. And then all these cool people have come to add to the cool people who are already here. And it's just gotten, again, more and more vibrant and more just strong in its diversity. I hate that word, but strong in its diversity. Again, ages and belief systems and all of it, but kind of with, again, that sort of thread of what I would describe as sort of freedom-loving people.
Right. Yeah, no, it's amazing the position we're in real estate, because we get to meet all the new people. Also, not all, but a majority of people reach out to us. They come and meet us. They want to get to know us. So we get to meet the new people, and there's tons of new faces, as you said.
Unbelievable.
Lots of people that I don't know, that I haven't met yet.
Which is abnormal. Like, I'm not used to seeing so many people I don't know.
Yeah. When I first got here in 2011, there was a similar thing happening. You talked about Mayan calendar. There was also Fukushima.
Yeah.
Some things falling out in Japan. People from the west coast of U.S. were kind of coming here to be refugees from that. There was quite a few new faces, but then it was a good amount, like a good 5-6 years, where it was just like kind of the same people.
Yeah.
And the new people that came to town, everyone knew, oh, that's a new person passing through. But we all kind of knew each other, and now it's like there's a big boom. I would say in the last 6 months, there's at least a couple hundred new people, maybe more.
Maybe more. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
I mean, for a small town, it's apparent. You can see, because it's not like a city where. One of the things about lifestyle here is it's hard to be anonymous in Vilcabamba. We've lived here for quite a while.
That's true. That's very true.
Well, for us even more so.
Sure.
But no, just after living here for a couple of years, if you make friends and stuff, it's very hard to just go to town and be anonymous and just want to do something, not bump into someone and have a long conversation.
Yeah.
It's basically impossible. Yeah. You can go to Loja if you want to do that or something.
Sorry to interrupt. Absolutely. We're talking about drawbacks. If you're in a rush and you just need to hit like 3 stores and get back home, it's just not happening. Like, you almost have to be rude
You
to
have
make
to be
that
rude.
happen. Like, I can't talk to you, goodbye. Like, because yeah, I mean, you run into anything you're doing in town, you run into a million friends.
Yeah, yeah. Which is great, it's great. Sometimes there's too many people. You're like, you want to talk to this one and that one, and it's cool. It's a great place, yeah. We love it.
But also, it also makes it very convenient for like networking, for lack of a better word, right? So if you're looking to accomplish something, chances are the people you need to talk to, you're just gonna run into like constantly.
That happens so often.
Yeah.
That happens so often to me where I'm like, I forgot about something I had to talk to someone about, and then I bump into them the same day, and it literally happens all the time to me.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have to call them. I'll just bump into them in town. Of course, our office is in town now. Anyone can can find us here if they want to. But
no, and that some of the other things I really appreciate, and we've mentioned this on the show before, but the Saturday organic market is key. I think that's it's such a nice thing to have. We're in this little town in Latin America, in rural Ecuador. Ecuador is not a place that's really into organic and all that kind of thing. To have an organic market where you can get all your fruits and veggies, all your whatever you're looking for, organic is really nice. There's just so many cool stores here. There's all these stores that cater to health conscious people, right? And so it's like you can go get your beautiful incense from India or something, right? You can get your natural soaps, you can get your homemade health cures for everything. You can get your colloidal silver or your natural deodorant or whatever you're looking for. They have all these stores that are just basically they're local. That's the other thing, really cool thing too. This is basically all cottage industry stuff. So it's basically people who have either moved here or are Ecuadorian who are just producing small scale products for the stores in Vilcabamba. So it's like my wife sells kombucha, for example, and so you can go to all these stores and you can get all the stuff that you would be able to get like at a health food store back home, in like a 7,000-8,000 person town in Ecuador. That's something I really appreciate a lot about the town.
Yeah. Well, the diversity of restaurants for a small town. I think we might have touched on that a little bit, but it's extremely unique for Ecuador. You go to any other small town in Ecuador, they're only going to be, maybe there's a Chinese restaurant and then local Ecuadorian food, Whereas here you got Italian, you got a sushi place now, Middle Eastern, what else we got?
Yeah, Mexican. I mean, you name it pretty much. German. We have German. We have falafel. We have Turkish. We have, Middle
shawarma,
Eastern. Yeah.
Pizzas, pastas.
And good, like people from that part of the world who own and operate the restaurant.
The real deal. Yeah.
The real deal, exactly. That's one of the really, really amazing things. There's only a couple other towns in all of Ecuador that would have that. Montanita, I think you mentioned in this show, being one of them, or someone mentioned recently tonight, being one of them. Cuenca being a city, sure, yeah, but maybe Otavalo, maybe a couple of places, but this is certainly one of them, maybe the best for that kind of stuff. And that's also, that's really, I appreciate that immensely because, I go to Aqua and I get, a bagel, like a bagel sandwich that's every bit as good as a bagel from New York. Unbelievable, right? We go to the pizza place you're talking about. There's an Italian lady who runs it and it's her restaurant. Pizza's really good, and I'm a pizza snob. Like I'm a snob at all food. Like the food's good in New York. Like I have high standards. Some of this food here is really good. Really, really good, and that's absolutely appreciated. Even Raul's restaurant, the Mexican restaurant, he just kind of opened it in his house, but they play music and they have all these decorations, and it's this whole experience. There's a guy from Mexico, so. There's all that kind of stuff. We're looking at a Mexican restaurant here across the street from the office. Are they opening Korean next door? Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love. Yeah, well, when we have an amazing Korean restaurant. A lady from Korea, Maya, who actually interviewed on the channel. Check that out. Opened a Korean restaurant. It's delicious. I know you've been there many times because I've ran into you there, but it's really top-notch Korean food. All right, 34 minutes. We could get in and out. Anything else we want to cover before we hit the road? What else? I think nature. I think you covered that a little, but I think nature is certainly part of the lifestyle here.
Yeah.
Rivers, you mentioned some of that, but rivers and hikes and that stuff is readily available. That's part of the lifestyle. The other thing too, lifestyle. We're just talking lifestyle. The sort of, because of the climate, it's so conducive to spending time outdoors and to like indoor-outdoor living. And that's something I'm a big fan of. You can come down here and really build a house where your living space essentially is outside. Like you can do that here and be comfortable 90% of the time. Which is really, really nice. My office is on my patio. I just look at the mountains as I slog through work on the computer. That's really, really something I appreciate about here. The abundance of food, again, with the year-round growing season and with no stigma attached to agriculture, right? Everybody here is in agriculture. So, not actually everybody, of course, but, a large percentage. And so everybody grows food, right? So the abundance of sort of fruits and tropical fruits and high quality, amazing, delicious fruits and all that sort of stuff is A+. We've covered this before, but I've probably tried 20 or 30 fruits in Ecuador that I had never seen before in my life prior to coming here, and most of them are phenomenally delicious. So that stuff comes to mind, and overall for me personally, it's just a great place to live.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something real quick. We have a good friend who, I think his dream was to grow mushrooms, and he built this lab, and now he's growing edible mushrooms for the community.
And they're so good.
Super good, high quality. I mean, who would have thought in a small town in the middle of Southern Ecuador, the mountains, there would be like a shiitake mushroom grower, I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, and organic and
really
delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed me how to cook them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how. And because you know what happened? He came to you were probably there, some event, something we had, and I never really I had bought them before, but I didn't know what to do with them, and they weren't very good. I didn't know what to do with them. So then he brings this mushroom dish, and I throw a spoonful on my plate. It was so good. And I asked him, how do you cook these? He told me how to cook them, and so then I started buying them and cooking them, and I noticed not only are they delicious, they really help my stomach. They're really good. And you don't even have to wash them. I mean, they're totally pristine and beautiful, and there's a bunch of stuff like that.
The coffee, super high quality coffee in Ecuador. You can find good coffee everywhere. I mean, there's nowhere that has bad coffee. Almost.
No.
I mean, at least the expat places where they make coffee high quality. Something else I want to say, the chocolate, right? Ecuador has really good high quality chocolate. You can find various chocolate places that sell super high quality, tasty chocolate. What else?
Yeah, I mean, for me too, one of the true benefits for me of living here is, the culture rubs off on you. And so that's sort of, kind of, it's okay, relax, sort of anything goes. I needed that. I was high stress, New York City, go. 5 minutes late is an hour late, type of thing. And, having lived here now for 8.5 years or whatever it's been, that stuff years ago rubbed off on me, and I'm more relaxed. I am more relaxed by a lot than I used to be. I'm much more go with the flow. I take things much more in stride, and that's just because that's how Ecuadorians are. And so it just kind of rubs off on you. You just kind of interact with that for so long that you just start also being like that. And you could look at that as a good thing or bad thing, of course, and it has its upside and its downside. But for me personally, it's been important for my life and my health and everything else, to not be wound tight and stressed all the time. And this is a culture that doesn't really do that. So you can do that here yourself if you want to, but you're going to be the weird one. You're going to be the only person practically sort of living that way.
Yeah, exactly. Vilcabamba, apparently, you heard this, that the Inca royalty, during the Incan Empire, they would come to Vilcabamba for healing. It was like the place of healing, right? So.
And up, I've heard also they would go up in Mandango.
Mandango.
Yeah.
The famous mountain.
The mountain, yeah.
So I think also, for people that maybe are not healthy, that need some healing, Vilcabamba is a place that attracts people that that want to come here for healing, really. So there's lots of different alternative healing modalities, just the lifestyle, the fresh air, the no mask on, the good water, good food, more exercise. I mean, that will heal you on its own, right? And then there's also alternative healing, and I think, very healing place, definitely. People get healthier when they come here.
No, that's a great point, and it's sort of conducive to that, just sort of in the energy or something of the place. But then it's also attracted healers from all over the world.
Right.
So we've talked about that a lot, but excuse me, but I mean I've got little health issues that I'm dealing with all the time, knee and stomach and blah blah blah, and the amount of world-class healers that I've been able to work with here has been such a blessing to me on my journey, on my path. I'm so grateful to these people. I'm so blown away by how people who are at the top of their profession in the healing arts have descended on this tiny little valley in Southern Ecuador. It's unbelievable. I mean, I keep working with people and then looking them up online and just being like, they've got training centers all over Europe, and they've got, this and that, and it's like they've written 1 million books and they're famous, and they're charging me, $30 or something, or $50 or whatever for a session in this little town, and they're helping me, I'm like legitimately making progress. And I don't know what the number is, but there has to be 50 or 100 healers or more, here that are great, that's remarkable. I mean, I don't know that there's another town in the world that has a higher ratio of restaurants to population as well as healers to population.
Right.
There may not be a place with more.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what attracted me here, actually. I was really into the raw food, vegan movement. I'm not so much anymore, but that attracted me, the healthy lifestyle, healthy food growing all year round. That was one of the main reasons why I actually came to visit, to check out Vilcabamba in the first place.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thread, I would say, in the community. Not for everyone, but a lot of people certainly are into health and into not necessarily vegan, vegetarian, because everyone has their diet choices. So I wouldn't say that's a theme, but just health in general is definitely important to a lot of people who live here, and a lot of people. Going back to your point, I've watched over the years many clients come unhealthy. 6 months, 12 months later, I see them looking great, feeling great, telling me all the progress they've made, they're off all their medications, whatever it is. I've seen that over and over and over again here.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Anything else? It was great. It was fun.
That was good. That was good.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I think I said episode 12, season 2. Ecuador Insider Podcast. We're going to keep trying to keep these as close to weekly as we can. We're very busy, so forgive us when we miss a week or 5 or 6, but we do the best we can. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have questions about real estate, etc., please reach out. Please follow us on Facebook. We're probably in 1 million other places I should mention but don't know. But definitely Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Share for us. If you have questions, feel free also to throw them in the comments. Any other rigmarole stuff I'm missing?
We're good.
Doing pretty good. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too.